Welcome to Story Chats at Inspy Romance. I'm Elizabeth Madry, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
I'm Narelle Atkins.
I'm Valerie Comer.
Today, the three of us are going to be chatting about CCR that we've been reading lately, just for fun. So I'm going to just kick us off, I guess, because I can. So
Yes.
You're the boss. Go for it.
Go for it.
So what I've read recently probably technically counts as 5, but it was a box. So I'm going just as the box, which is A Divine Christmas by Brynn Stewart, aka Lynette Bonner. It is her contemporary pen name. I hope she's not trying to keep it a secret, because I always say aka Lynette.
I'm pretty sure she's not.
Okay, good. Otherwise, oops. But it is 5 tangentially related Christmas stories in a small Oregon town, and they all have an actor or actress as one of the protagonists, which is kind of fun. So celebrity in a small town kind of thing. They're sweet, fast Christmas reads, and as with anything Lynette writes, plenty of Jesus, which to me is just necessary for a Christmas book, in particular. Like CCR in general, it's necessary, but if it's going to be a Christmas CCR, I need more than Santa. I need Jesus. So I really enjoyed it. It was sort of my perfect Christmas read, and I read all 5 of them back to back, and then I was done reading Christmas books. Because I was kind of like, oh, that was a lot of Christmas books, but they were really good, and I enjoyed it a lot. So.
They are good stories.
Yes.
I have enjoyed them in years past when they were singly available.
So that is true. They are older. They are older stories that were either in previous box sets or whatever, and she boxed them up as a Christmas box. So
yeah,
cool.
Narelle, what you got?
Well, the word recent in mind today has a very loose definition.
Sure.
We actually, I don't know, you guys probably aren't aware of our recording schedules, that sometimes we end up doing a quarter of a year's episodes in a very short space of time. And so we're on the tail end of a run of a lot of recording episodes close. So I literally have exhausted my recent reads, because everything I've been reading lately has been either not CCR, has been a different genre, or I've been reading for episodes. And one of our things for this episode is we normally don't talk about something that we've mentioned in another episode. We try to do something unique. So I've gone back to earlier in 2023, and I'm going to talk about the 2 of the books in the Trinity Lakes series. So I'll do one at a time. So that's the Trinity Lakes romance series, which we have mentioned on the podcast before, and I wrote the first book in the series. So the one I'm going to talk about first is by debut author Iola Goulton. So she's a Kiwi New Zealand author, and her book is Always by My Side. And we have a Kiwi New Zealand hero in this one, and we've got an American heroine, and it's in Trinity Lakes, which is a fictional small town in eastern Washington state. And so Tabby is a triplet. And so there'll be 3 books that Iola's planning to write. And so there'll be 3 triplets, 3 books. It's a lovely match. And different to twins. We don't often see triplets. Yeah, it's very convenient. We don't often see triplets in CCR. Twins are more common. So Tabby is a triplet who stayed in Trinity Lakes with her father and her grandma, who have a B&B that's near the lake. And she's the one who cares for everyone, looks after everyone. If someone needs something at church, she's the one who'll cook something or do something. She's very much a Martha in terms of all the work that she does, if you want to go back to a biblical reference for her. And she also works at the rowing club as well as running the B&B. Her grandmother's recently passed away, and she's got to sort through all her stuff. But her triplets, the other triplets, are running off at studying, living their best lives, and she's stuck in Trinity Lakes thinking, what am I going to do? So she's really in a rush at the beginning of the story. And then we have Logan, who's the world traveler, adventurer, Kiwi dude who is in the States because he's been studying, but he lands in Trinity Lakes because he can't do what he's meant to be doing, which is something in Spain. It was a walk he was doing. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, so he lands in Trinity Lakes to recuperate and stays at the B&B. And so Tabby has quite preconceived ideas about him, and he's got in her opinion, a bad boy past, and he's completely unsuitable as a potential romantic interest. And that's not actually the case in terms of where Logan is. And it's a really fun story. Like, I just really, really ordinary, down to earth people. And I really appreciated how it all played out. And we see a bit more of what's unpacked from my first book, Never Find Another You. You learn more about the old boat shed and the land zoning, and that series mystery sort of starts to unpack a bit more in this book as well. But I've got to be careful what I say, because I do know this story very well. Tabby was a character in my book, so I'm like, don't give away spoilers, Narelle, when you talk about it. But I really did enjoy Iola's book. Great debut. So if you haven't read Always by My Side, go find it, because it's a good one. Good, and it stands
on
like
my
all the
Kindle somewhere.
Yeah, like all the Trinity Lakes romances, they all do link up, and there are connections via setting, characters, and different things. But you can read it as a standalone if you want to as well, and cherry pick what you want to read.
Valerie?
Cherry picking. I have more recently than Narelle's talking about, read Finding Grace by Melanie D. Snitker, and I have no idea how I never read this one before.
Yeah.
It's the final book in a 6-book series, and I have loved all of the books. So why I randomly did not read this one? Well, I guess I probably know how it happened, is that my Kindle is always full, right? And so I don't always read from beginning to end on each series that catches my eye, or it would be 10 times deeper than it is, and I'd never get anything read. Anyway, Beth is the heroine. She works at a zoo in Texas, and she meets single dad Tyler when he becomes separated from his 6-year-old Megan at the zoo. Megan is a fairly strong-willed child who decided that she didn't like what her dad said, and so she stomped off. And then when she realized she didn't know where he was, and he was looking for her, right? So somebody took her to the gift shop, and they put out an announcement over the intercom thing, speakers, but that's where Beth was working. So Tyler is immediately intrigued by her, and she is immediately not intrigued by him. And but he kind of gives in to Megan wanting to go back to the zoo again pretty soon, and buys a season pass because it's just kind of interesting over there. And he slips Beth his business card. Now, he and his dad own an automotive shop, and so he's aware of, maybe not being, he feels not being maybe good enough for her, but she's not looking at that. She's just really determined to stay single because of a bad breakup, which I have to admit I have used that in stories too, but I think I need to find a new reason people don't want to get married. But anyway, when her car breaks down, though, she has no one else to call, so she calls Tyler. And then she realizes that he lives with his dad, that Megan's mother is not at all in the picture, and it's only the 3 of them. And she comes from this robust family of half a dozen kids, and they're planning all their Christmas stuff. And it's just this big, crazy thing. Her siblings are married and have kids, and it's just like 30 people. And she's like, and he's like by himself.
Oh.
So she does the right thing and invites him. And of course, her siblings get big ideas. And Megan gets along great with her nieces and nephews. Of course, there's some hiccups coming, but it was great. A good Christmas story, but set in Texas, so a little less snowy than what I've got outside.
Yes.
But yeah, if you haven't read that series by Melanie D. Snitker, then
what is
you
the series?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I can't remember either, because I've read.
It's Finding Peace, Finding Joy.
Okay. Yeah.
Finding Grace is the last,
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, my next one is actually a Christmas book. I read it before I read Lynette Bonner's box. So So
That's how you're getting out
that's
of
how
it.
I'm getting around that. But this is
Nice.
the sum total of the Christmas reading that I have done this year. Oh, and Christmas Ella that we had for Angela Ruth Strong, an episode with her. So but that's it. Now I'm done with my Christmas reading. And this
I don't know
is gonna
how we're
make
friends.
this is gonna make Valerie roll her eyes because this is romantic suspense, but it is called Dangerous Christmas Inheritance by Janda Sample. And it is not over the top suspense. It is
So you keep
more
saying.
it is more romantic mystery, which I still like. I contend that is not a thing, but even Amazon now is saying it's a thing, and I don't think it's a thing.
But now it is a thing.
But apparently it's a thing.
Poor
whatever.
you.
Anyway, so I'm wrong. Surprise. But I love it. This one. Because it's really not cozy mystery, which is what I generally, when people say they write romantic mystery, I'm like, yeah, I've read that. That's a cozy. But this is not a cozy. This is much more like romantic suspense, but with a mystery instead of like death defying, we're on the run with a Navy SEAL. Okay. So it is a small town. It is like a family secret that has to be unraveled, and it's tricky because the heroine doesn't actually think she has a family because she has been raised by relatives and the relatives died, and then by friends of the relatives. So she's sort of lost and just trying to set up this shop as her place in the world.
This is starting to sound like a Molly Rushmeyer book.
Yeah, a little bit. And so she has it's sort of an antique shop kind of thing. And so she puts up a Christmas display with some things she found in the attic of the house that she inherited from the friend of the grandmother who raised her. And then the shop gets broken into and mysterious things start happening. And she had held one of the pieces of the decorations for the front back because it needed to be re-glued. And maybe that's important. So, but helping her in this intrepid discovery is the UPS man who has had a crush on her since he started delivering packages to her shop.
And he's not a retired SEAL?
No, he's not. He's just a good old boy UPS man with a big family who is like, you don't have a family? We've got family to spare kind of thing. And it's just heartwarming and sweet and delightful.
And that's why you think it's cozy mystery-ish, because of the amateur sleuths. It doesn't have a professional.
Right. Yeah.
Hero or heroine that's
yeah, no law
enforcement
involvement or military or anything. Yeah. And I mean, the stakes are not high. Like it's a low stakes yeah.
People aren't dying left, right,
she gets run off the road. That's about as scary as it gets. I mean, and that's scary, but it's not like she doesn't flip, she doesn't do 360s, it's not death defying.
So it's more romance and suspense then.
Yes,
for sure.
much more romance.
Yeah.
But it's the suspense that keeps them glued together, at least at first.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or the male.
Yeah, or the male. Well, the suspense is why she accepts anything more than a package from him, because she realizes she needs help. And yeah. What's your second one, Narelle?
My second one, I'm going to stay in Trinity Lakes and talk about Where Our Heart Lies by Jenny Glazer. So she's an Australian author. This is effectively her debut CCR because her backlist is more YA and young adult with romance in it as well. So this one, I really love this one as much as I love Iola's as well. These two really are favorites of mine in the series. And Hallie is really probably, I describe her as a very naive daughter of missionaries, and she gets herself in a bit of a tricky situation and ends up running to Trinity Lakes and sort of hiding out there because that's where she was for part of her childhood. When she was growing up, her parents were missionaries based there because there's a Bible college there. So that's the connection. So she goes back to what's safe and familiar to her. and hangs out there. And then we have the hero is Josh, and he's a pastor's kid, and he did have aspirations to follow his dad into ministry, and then stuff happened in Australia, and that there's reasons as to why that's no longer on his radar. And so it's really them reconnecting. He's hiding secrets. She's quite insecure and really feels unworthy of being loved. And this particular story also brings out some more things that are happening in the series. So if you remember if you've been reading the Trinity Lakes books and remember the Junkman as a character, we get to find out a bit more about the Junkman in this book. And there's also connections to Hannah, who's my heroine in the first book. There's a family connection to these characters in this book as well that comes out later. So it unpacks a bit more. Basically, Jenny's book, Where Our Hearts Lie, and the next one need to happen before I write a second book in Trinity Lakes, because it unpacks stuff that I need for Hannah's younger sister's story to happen. So it all ties in together. But as I said, they can be read as a standalone romance with all of that. But if you want that extra rich experience of reuniting with characters you've met before and all those fun things, that small town romancy feel, then go read the whole series. Yeah, but I really enjoyed this one, and I'm looking forward to the next year. In 2024 there's some more Trinity Lakes romances coming out starting in February, so looking forward to seeing those release.
Excellent. Valerie?
The second one that I want to talk about is another Christmas story. Puppy Love and Christmas Joy by Merrillee Whren. I have read most of her previous Christmas in Hallsberg, I think it is, books. But she's releasing one a year. They're novella length. And so when this one crossed my Kindle, because I pre-ordered it a week or two ago, I don't know, relatively recently, I was like, oh, that's a short one, and it doesn't tie in with any of the themes we're recording about this week. So I can use that as a recent read. Bingo, here we go. And I enjoyed it. Ella moves to town with her 6-year-old daughter, Joy. She has family in this particular town, Hallsberg. She's looking for work, and she's there also because her cousin is getting married. But I mean, you don't move someplace just because your cousin's getting married. Anyways, what she does not expect was to get a job at a restaurant that is run by her cousin's two-timing ex. So her cousin had dated this guy, Tony, for like 10 years since high school. And then everything fell apart about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that, her cousin's story was in a previous book, but I didn't look up which one it was. So starting with the breakup with Tony, and then so the wedding is early in this book, and you're like, and she's so happy with this other guy, and there's poor Tony trying to figure out what all went wrong with his life. So she's not expecting to find him charming, because look what he did to her cousin, right? But she does remember that her cousin thought he was pretty awesome for a long time as well, but she's trying to stay on guard. So this is a kind of a weird connection, but it works in the story because all of this series has puppy love and something. So there's an event where people are adopting puppies, and Tony goes to it. I don't know why Tony goes to it, because he sees Ella going to it. And her little girl is set on having a Jack Russell. She wants a Jack Russell, and there are no Jack Russells here. Well, that's a cute puppy, and she'll sit down and play with that puppy for a while, but that's not what she wants. And this one, that is not what she wants. But they're nice puppies, and she likes them all. So anyways, there's one that Ella kind of likes, but her daughter's like, no, because it's not a Jack Russell. So Tony decides to temporarily foster this puppy in hopes that the little girl will decide that it is, in fact, the puppy that she wanted all along. So that sounds a little weird, but Merrillee makes it work within the story as a way to keep them pulled together, as though her working for his family restaurant isn't enough. But there's no puppy there.
Yes.
So in the end, if I say this, in the end, it's clear that the little girl has been matchmaking, and that Tony really has changed and regrets what happened. So if only Ella can put herself out there and believe that he is a new person, then all will be well. All will be
All
well.
will be well. That's a
Will
hard
be
sell
well.
for me. To a reformed cheater would be a really hard sell for me.
Yeah.
But Merrillee makes it work.
I think she did. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you kind of see what went into what happened and how he had been misled and allowed himself to be misled. It's not like it's sugar coated that he was like, oh, completely innocent and it was all some third party's fault.
Right.
And yet,
Okay.
yeah, I think it does work.
Okay.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It's in my TBR. I'm pretty sure I picked that one
Yeah,
up.
it
I feel
released
like I
Yeah.
probably
in-
did too, because I like Merrillee's stuff. So yeah.
Mm.
it released, I believe, in November, I want to say.
Cool.
Yes, it's a November one. Yeah.
Excellent.
Anyway,
All right. Well, we'd love to know what you've been reading lately. You can leave us
Christmas
a
books,
comment.
right?
You probably. Leave us a comment on the YouTube page and or on Facebook, whatever makes you happy. And you can find information about the podcast at inspiromance.com/storychats. And if you do happen to be over on YouTube, leaving us a message, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never ever miss an episode. We will look forward to seeing you again next week. In the meantime, don't forget to fall in love with a good book. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.